Welcome to the American Contractor Show, guys. I'm your host, John Dye, and it is season 2 of the American Contractor Show. Welcome, guys, and this is so cool to be able to start a new year, get new faces involved, and do a whole lot of really cool stuff that we're planning to do for season 2 of the American Contractor Show. This show has evolved so much, and if you guys watched the recap of season 1, it was pretty cool to see where we started and where everything went and where we are today, and I'm excited about what's to come. So today's episode is going to be a lot of fun, though. I've got some 8-figure guys here that are lined up, and a really cool coach with us too. And we're going to talk all about 2021 and what are some of the things that you guys should be doing, because we all know that everything has changed in 2020. 1 year ago, none of us had any idea that there was a pandemic that it was about to strike the entire world and cause us to all change the way that we operate day to day with our behaviors, with the way that we do business, the way that things happen in our world. Our entire economy was completely shifted. And so this is going to be a lot of fun. So I'm excited about it. Stay tuned. We're about to start this episode of the American Contractor Show. Thank you guys for joining us today. And we continue the journey that leads to the realization of your American dream. I'm your host, John Dye, and this is the American Contractor Show, where we explore and learn what it takes to be a successful contractor in today's world, providing you behind-the-scenes access to some of the best minds, tools, and companies in contracting. Join us and elevate your understanding and contracting knowledge on the American Contractor Show. And welcome back. I'm excited today. We've got some really cool guests with us, like my buddy Hunter Ballew, Randy Brothers, Nathan Thibodeau, Aaron Christy, and they're about to join us and talk a little bit about 2021 and what's going on. By the way, guys, if you guys haven't heard about Clubhouse yet, go check it out. I was on Clubhouse quite a bit last night and spending some time with a whole bunch of different solar guys and roofing guys, and it was a lot of really good conversation, a lot of knowledge, and I was really interested. And we're going to be back on Clubhouse at 4:00 with Chuck Doki and some other guys. We're going to talk a little bit about roofing and sales and roofing and solar sales for 2021. So get on Clubhouse; it's a lot of fun. But for today, for American Contractor Show, welcome to these amazing guests that are with us today. Thank you guys for joining us. We're all live now. Hunter, Randy, Nathan, Aaron Christy. We got a mix here. Randy, how long have you been in the business for?
Well, you got to explain the business. Got to define the business first, because I've been contracting pretty much since I was big enough to hold a hammer in my hand. But as an independent contractor, 2003. So what was that, 17 years?
Yeah. So you've been through it. I've been in this since 2020. So, I mean, we've been in this for about the same amount of time, and you and I can agree that things have definitely changed in the last 17, 20 years.
Yeah, this is the second recession, quote unquote, that I've been through. If we're going to call this a recession, this is the pandemic. But the first recession, I learned a lot. I was just kind of getting my business going and had to make a lot of adjustments and learned a lot early on, right after I got started back in 2008. So
yeah, and I look at we got Aaron and Hunter here too, and these guys, Aaron's been in it now for a couple years. Hunter's been in it for 4 or 5 years now, and so having this different mindset of the way that we've always done things, which if I go back to the way things were in 2000, it was a whole different world. We didn't have all these cool CRMs and all these awesome tools. I mean, we were knocking doors and signing contracts on paper and I'm measuring roofs. I tell this story a lot, but I remember as a kid throwing tennis balls over roofs to measure them and counting tabs. And so, these guys, Hunter and Aaron, they would never, ever be able to experience that or know what that's like.
So
but
I got a story on that, man, because I was an adjuster for a little while, and this is back when I kind of got first started. I was on what they called a steep and tall team. I'm not sure if anybody knows about that anymore.
Oh,
What
I know
this
what that is. Yeah.
was a team of 2 adjusters that went out on steep, like really tall roofs, and we had to use climbing equipment to like rappel off roofs. And you would have to take tennis balls. So what we would do is take, tennis balls, drill holes in them, and tie like 3 of them together, and tie them really tight with a rope on the end. And we would swing it and throw it all the way up and over the ridge of the house. And then what we would do is we would take a cut piece of like a pool noodle, and we would run that up the rope to where it can be on the ridge, so the ridge, the ridge shingles didn't cut the rope and you'd fall off. So it was pretty sketchy, but that's how we used to measure roofs. And one guy was on the ground with your, like, holding your life in hand, and I was a young guy, so of course I was always the one on the roof rappelling with like full climbing gear on, literally crawling all over these big roofs to try to measure them by hand. Thank God for technology nowadays, because that would have created a pretty difficult lifestyle for and/or insurance policies for companies for a long period of time.
I don't even know how insurance companies would insure you guys on that kind of stuff, if they even
I was
would.
working for the insurance company, so we'd hope that they'd have insurance.
Right. But I mean, that's what we had to do, though. I mean, it was a whole different world. And now looking at, the success that contractors are having today, the new school way of doing things, it's a whole different mentality and feel. And so, it's cool to have Hunter here and Aaron. I think Hunter's got frozen there for a second. So I don't know. He's driving, it looks like, while he popped in here. So, but Aaron, I kind of want to hear from you a little bit too, though. Like, what are you guys doing different this year than you did in years past?
This year or 2020?
2020. What did you do different? Because I mean, you went from 0 to, I mean, you guys. What did you guys do in 19?
1.8 million.
And now you're 8 figures. You're a little, you're at that $10 million mark now in a year. So your first year you did 1.8. Second year you're pretty much 10x'd it almost, right?
Yeah.
So what differences did you make to make that happen?
Well, we focused on growing our team. We did a lot of social media marketing, where we had a couple good storms, and we really capitalized on those through social media. But I'll tell you what, building our Google presence and our Google reviews, a lot of people that we sent or saw us on social media, we always talked to, and they were always saying, okay, well, we looked you guys up on Google. So I don't think without the positive reviews on Google, even if they see our ads, they're still going to look you up and see, what people think about you. And so we focused on growing the team. We focused on building out our Google presence and really asking everybody for reviews, and then a lot of social media marketing. And that was able to keep our guys busy enough to where they wanted to go out, and we could grow by getting more guys on. And so we would give them some leads, and then they're supposed to turn those leads into more. So by being able to provide them with, enough leads to sustain and get their foot in the door, then they can grow that. And so we started 2020 with me, 2 part-time sales reps, and then a full-time sales rep. And right now we have 17 sales reps.
That's awesome, dude. And as you guys have grown this whole thing, I look at like Randy. Like, do you think that some of the old school guys are struggling a little bit trying to keep up with guys like Aaron?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I think this is a constant that's been in our industry for a long time, and it's part of the market. It's part of the business we sign up for, because whether we like it or not, our growth and sustainability, there's a lot of influence based on weather and where we live in the market that we're in, right? So the idea is you have to build a model to where you can scale up and down as necessary based on the market demand, which is hailstorms. Because on the reality of it is, a lot of times contractors essentially have to start from scratch every year, right? You get this big hailstorm, you capitalize on that as much as you possibly can. That very next year, you don't know what's going to happen. You try to, or maybe every other year, but you kind of essentially have to go back to the drawing board and figure out how we're going to capture and how we're going to maintain this growth or sustain this size with or without hailstorms. And that's where I think the challenge comes into play of really having to shift from a high growth, type of mentality of just hire people, train people, and capture the hailstorm that's right in our backyard, to how do we build a sustainable model that allows for the fluctuation in hail. And then that's where you really have to start challenging yourself as an entrepreneur and as a leader to diversify your business to become sustainable for the long term, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And that's where I think a lot of, I'm looking at like Aaron, and my worry with someone like Aaron is you guys have grown so fast. What are you guys thinking as far as long-term growth? And that sometimes, like, when I see a company grow really fast, I always kind of like think, man, what is going to cause this to slow down, and how do you keep that momentum going? And that's, I think, the real challenge now moving forward.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I don't want to get stuck in that position as well. So I think one of the best things that I have going for me is I didn't come from a contracting background. I came from a corporate environment. And so I know that I don't know everything. And I've reached out to a lot of people for help to grow and improve. And I continually do that. And so I actually talked to Chuck Thope, which I think you said you're doing something with here in a little while. And he is going to get with our team and Nathan through Coach Contractor Pro, and they're going to work with us on our retail side. So if we do have that slow storms, fortunately in Indiana, there are quite a bit of storms, and we worked it to where if there's little storms, we can still geo-target those and get a lot of social media. But we also want to have the availability to do retail. So we're working on branding, and we're working on video, and we're working on Coach Contractor Pro to get our retail sales side down. So that way, no matter what, we always have some sort of avenue to sell. We work with insurance agents, we work with realtors, we use social media, we use Google Guaranteed. So we want to have multiple streams of leads and availability and avenues to sell in. So I think that's one of the biggest things that you need to have, is to be ready for those things. And that's what we're currently working on, kind of building out a more robust process so that we don't ever hit those walls.
Yeah, I think you're definitely on the right mindset and the right path, and being someone I experienced that, right? We went from $2 to $20 million in a matter of a couple of years, and then we sustained north of 15 million for 3 years in a row, and then we had 2 years with no storms whatsoever in a huge market. However, because of the planning, and just like where your mind is right now on the things you're doing now to anticipate and build retail and build a retail model and diversify your offerings, that actually helped us stay at 10 million, stay at the $8 million mark in a year where we had no storms, because we diversified, we switched gears, and we captured the market of real estate. Our real estate market's still hot and heavy, right? So we put a ton of energy into marketing that and doing a lot more retail sales, real estate transactions, which is still one of the things that a trend that we've experienced is nowadays, where insurance carriers, it's a blessing and a curse, but insurance carriers don't even want to insure roofs over 10 years old. So when in a hot market like Denver, where everything's inflated, housing pricings are going nuts, there's a ton of opportunity for roofs that need to be done, even if they don't really need to be done. If they're over 10 years, there's a chance that someone buying that roof says, nope, I can't get insured, or I got to take some sort of exclusions or whatever. I want a full policy, so I'm going to have you replace the roof and the insurance. So that's what's happening, is we figure that out and put a lot of energy in trying to capture that market. And then commercial, more than half of our business this year was retail, whether it was retail from a commercial, residential, and from service. We did a lot of coatings, a lot of service repair work, a lot of commercial jobs, big flat roofs, stuff. There's still a market, regardless if you're in a hail market or not. There is always going to be a retail market. So and that's when I'm coaching, I really encourage, teaching contractors how to build a retail business model that captures insurance when you can, but that also has a model that's sustainable with or without hail damage.
Because really the only way to sustain, if you're focused on storm work, is to move. you've got to move to where the storms are. And if you're stuck, if you get a down year like what you guys have experienced in Denver, that's a bad position to be in if you were exclusively just a storm guy that experienced success just in the storm market. So Nathan, I want to get to you a little bit too, because you work with a lot of contractors. You and Randy both work with a ton of people. What are some of the trends that you're seeing as people start their 2021? I mean, you guys just came out of your conference too. I'm sure there's been a lot of strategy talk and some things that people are shifting the way that they're thinking for 2021.
I would say one of the number one things that we're starting to see is people's belief. And I know it sounds a little pedantic, but your actual belief in what it is that you can accomplish and you can do. There's always people who are big dreamers and have large goals and things like that. But I think what the pandemic has shown is your belief in your creativity, in your solutions, are what actually drive your actions towards accomplishing those things. Because I can tell you right now, I talk with guys who are in storm markets, and there are guys in storm markets who believe that unless there is a storm, there is no work to do. And they say it with as much conviction as they do any kind of faith in anything in their life. Unless there's a storm, we're not doing anything. And then literally 2 blocks away, there's a guy in the exact same market, building roofs, installing projects, finding work, generating leads, and it has to do with your mindset first. And I think what's cool that the pandemic has actually shown is the people who have that open mindset and who are creative and then believe that they can do it, they're the ones that are actually excelling. And yeah, they might have a bad idea here and there that don't work out. We all do, right? But like I said, one guy here doing no work because he believes without a storm he can't, and a guy over here doing plenty of work because he knows he can, right? What's that saying? Like, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. And so that creativity, I'm loving to see that thing. And then the fact that you combine the versatility and speed with which technology can change in conjunction with creativity and belief in an idea. And man, we are just seeing all kinds of cool ideas, all kinds of cool concepts, and a lot of people who are emerging out of this thing pretty victorious and looking at the next year with excitement and enthusiasm rather than, oh God, what's next?
Gloom and doom, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I love that mindset piece because like if you believe it, it will become a reality, and that works both ways, right? So if you believe, that you're dependent on one thing or another, that's going to be your reality. If you believe that you're not, that'll become your reality. And I think something that every contractor watching can take from this is for a number of years now, when we do a strategic planning event with our organization, everybody comes together, and one of the first things I say, and I also say this to my sales team when we do our sales kickoff meeting for the year, is get it in your head that we are not getting a storm this year. I say that we are not getting a storm. What are you going to do? What are we going to do to build our business without a storm? And that's the mindset. I think that's the mindset going into 2021, especially for us. That's our mindset. We're all in on retail, all in on growing on all these other things. All the while, the second we get a storm, we'll absolutely crush it. But without a storm, it won't crush us.
Some people might not know this. There are parts of the country where we don't get storms.
Did you know that 85% of the market in our country is actually retail, not insurance related?
No.
Yeah.
What a concept.
I mean, it's a funny thing, and I think it's a funny thing because I think storms create such a feast or famine kind of idea, right? Like if you throw chum in the water, and maybe this is a poor analogy, you throw chum in the water and you got all these sharks out there just going crazy on a bait ball in the middle of the ocean or whatever, right? There are actually sharks that aren't a part of that bait ball who are out there surviving as well. Okay. And so a hailstorm is like this bait ball in the middle of the ocean. But I mean, Phoenix had a storm in, God, how long ago was that? Was that
2010, I think, in February or something.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And there are roofers in Phoenix who are surviving. There are roofers in Southern California. There are roofers in Chicago, or not Chicago. There are roofers in Seattle.
There are roofers. Chicago.
Right? There are roofers in Chicago. I've heard. I'm not sure if it's true, but I mean, think of Boston, right? Like there are roofers. Like Randy just said, the majority of the market out there is actually retail, and so how do you get it, right? How do you get it?
So let me ask you this, Randy. So how difficult was it when you guys had that happen for the first time, where Denver did not have a storm? And how did you prepare your sales reps in your company for that? Or what did you have to do to keep them motivated during that?
So I think it started out with like the vision, years ago. We've had storm after storm after storm, which has been great. Grow, build a big company, but I never, let myself or my team like just fall into the trap of that's always going to be there, right? So we always had,
Right.
as I'm building the vision for my company, I've always had the mentality of like I want to build a real roofing company, okay? And in my mind, a real roofing company is a full service roofing contractor that can provide services for all things roofing, from service to coatings to flats to steep slope to large loss, all the above. I want to build a company that can do all of that, which allows me to shift within those roofing verticals based on what the market demand is. So therefore, long story short, we were able to shift and make those adjustments because we already had a retail mentality building up. Because even last year wasn't super great, but we had a lot of carryover from 18, which kind of helped us have a pretty good year last year. But the carryover into 2020 wasn't fantastic. So we were already like, okay, what do we got to do to make these adjustments? So we started really focusing on retail. I completely restructured my commercial division. It's a completely separate division, separate sales, separate production, separate everything. And they're focused solely on what they're doing. And we kind of separated and diversified the company that way to where we can handle that weather the storm, so to speak. And we were able to make it through. But don't let me paint a super pretty picture. It is not easy. I'm telling you, it is not easy, because when you build a business, and one thing to be thinking about, Aaron, is you're building this big business, you have to adjust your overhead to handle that volume. When you lose the volume, your overhead stays the same. So you have to either be prepared to cut costs or adjust your overhead back down, or go elsewhere and really force growth within your business. So we're right in the middle of making those adjustments. Like, how do we navigate that? Because it's like kind of like a two-edged sword, because if you trim your overhead back, you can't capture the storm when it does happen. Or if you keep your overhead really high and you don't get the storm, now you're experiencing diminishing return.
So the company itself did well, but how did the actual sales reps do, and how did you convert them over from I just got to knock the door, file the claim, the homeowner gets a free roof essentially, or that mindset of this isn't going to cost this homeowner a lot, so it's a different sale, to now, okay, now this homeowner has to pay for a roof. How do we get them to that mindset?
So training, analysis, teaching them how to do retail, teaching them how to like build quotes. We use Sumo Quote, which has been a tremendous tool for us to be able to make that conversion quick and easy. If you're doing everything with that, you can toggle on and off the insurance-based PDFs and the insurance-based presentation piece and just focus on retail, good, better, best. Like, there's a lot of strategies you can do, but the mindset piece is challenging, because when you're used to just abundance of storms, and like you mentioned, Aaron, like the Google reviews and your social media, you're just influx with a ton of opportunity and a ton of leads all the time. When that goes away, it becomes a challenge. You really start to see, who the real hungry people are. And we saw a major separation within our team. We had a handful of guys that really took it to heart and really dove into the real estate market and retail and performed really well. And to be candid, like, we had a couple people that didn't perform that well. Some perennial $1 million sales guys that did it for 4 or 5 years in a row did less than half of that in a year when we didn't have a hailstorm. So I'm not going to paint the picture like it was all gravy, because it wasn't. So I'm right now focused on how do we motivate our guys and make that transition even more to get people going, because we've never built our business model on door knocking. We've never had that model. We've all built it on reputation and management and strategic partnerships and centers of influence and stuff like that. And that's what really helped us succeed. But it also was a little bit of a downfall when everybody was just so used to just these leads and these referrals just coming all the time, to where next thing you know, they don't have that anymore. And they're like, oh, it's Saturday? Nah, I'm not going to go knock doors. I'm just going to go ride my bike or, dirt bike or whatever they're doing, because they spent all their money on cool toys. So now we're having to make that transition to, now it's time to get back down to the nitty gritty, guys. And you got to be hungry. You got to go out and make it happen, or you're not going to survive.
Man, that's some good stuff right there, because I mean, that's I think the next challenge that I think, Aaron, something that you guys might run into here as you guys transition. If Indy doesn't get a storm next year, then what if? Or what happens at that point? And changing that mindset is huge. But you said something interesting, like, there's the guys were doing so much sales, and now all of a sudden they're doing half that. That's crazy to think about.
Yeah, so, you don't think about it until it hits you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's also a big leadership component there too, which no doubt, like, that Randy probably faced in there too, was having this conversation. Like, what do you do when it gets difficult? And what is your real dream, right? Like, when you sit down and you talk with your guys, like, you want to buy some dirt bikes and a sports car? Okay, that's cool. Once you have those things, then what? Because without that big dream, then when it gets difficult, then you're just going to run on to the next thing. It's one of the things, like, we talk about the difference between motivation and drive. People are motivated. They hear about what you can do in this industry, and they're like, yeah, let's get out there. Let's do it. Let's go. And then when it starts to get difficult, they don't have the drive to see it through. And so right. part of that component as a leader inside your business is to understand what truly drives your guys. Because you know what? It is really discouraging. It's sales. You go through slumps, you go through hard times, you go through a lack of leads. And when you hit that point, what do you do then? Well, the only thing that's going to see you through then is getting reminded about your end game, where you're going, what you're doing, and why you're doing it. And if you've got a leader who can continually keep that on your mind, then it's like, look, man, I know this week sucked. Okay, but come on. Let's dust you off. Let's pick you up. Let's hit it next week, right? Why? Because of this thing that you're after. Remember that thing? Right. This is how close you are. And that's that. As you start to develop a business, things that leaders and business owners need to understand is that your leadership skill needs to develop at the same or faster rate that your company does. The higher that revenue is, the bigger that team, the better leader you need to be. If you're not developing those things simultaneously, if not faster, your company could be all set up to do great and crumble due to poor leadership.
Yep. Well, to add a little cherry on that is, not only do you have to develop as a leader, you have to be able to develop other people as leaders. That's the key. Ooh. I mean, you do not get to 8 figures and above and sustain that without a leadership team. There's no, you coach a lot of people. I do too. There's no large companies that don't have a diversified leadership team, because there's only so much one individual can do. And here's the other hard part to grasp is, like, if you want to grow a large organization, a sustainable organization, and you want to be a super successful leader and entrepreneur, you got to find people better than yourself. That's a hard pill to swallow too. Right. Surround yourself with people and hire people and develop leaders underneath you that are better than you at what you are doing. And that's, to me, that's the key to success.
Yeah. And I think that, and here's the thing about, and thank you for coming back, Hunter. Here's the thing about Aaron, though, like, and this is probably one of the best things about him and what he's doing in his company. I know, Aaron, you're here and we're like talking about you and like analyzing what you're doing, but no. I mean, we see Aaron I met you at RoofCon, and then you came to one of our Art of the Supplement events, our live events, and then I've seen you at Win the Storm. I've seen you like at all these different events up until now, because you're so constantly like seeking and are absorbing all this information about this industry through all these different mediums. I mean, Hunter, it looks like you just got to Gatlinburg. Is that right?
No, I just got home. I came home early so I could get ready for Gatlinburg.
Yeah, because you're getting ready to go to Gatlinburg, and I know you're about to go meet up with Hunter and them, and then you're coming back for the summit, and like you're doing all this stuff that is constantly you're just learning. You're absorbing so much of this industry, which I think is probably a big key to your success. And Hunter, I mean, you may want to throw some input in on this, but you're the same way. I've seen Hunter, like you're constantly seeking out new learning opportunities. You're going out, you're putting stuff together beyond just roofing community, which congratulations on that. That's a cool name and a great group there. But you're doing all this stuff too, like where you're bringing, you're absorbing this knowledge, which would probably help you grow your business.
Yeah, man. So I kind of hit on it. I know that 4 of us here were in Colorado. We were in Breckenridge a couple of months ago, or however long ago that was. I guess it was November. I lost track of time. But I was telling you guys, like, it blew my mind that there's this open invite to hang out with Nathan and Jim and Randy and John and all these other guys, and hardly anybody showed, right? It was like me and a couple of my guys, and then Jeremiah. I think we're the only contractors. And so when there's opportunity, I think you just got to take it. And if that means investing into an event, investing into, American Contractor Summit for $100, coming to, not to plug RoofCon, but coming to anything like that, investing in the Roofing Academy and Contractor Coach Pro, like, you've got to reinvest into yourself and into your company. One of the masterminds I'm in that is completely unrelated to the roofing industry. I pay $100,000 a year for that. And it's all about interpersonal value raises enterprise value. You can't have this high enterprise value in your company and net worth if you don't have self-worth, right? You got to build that first. And so you've got to be willing to invest, and then not just invest in yourself, but your people as well. That's your most valuable asset. Too many owners look at their people and think, oh man, that's a liability. I'm spending all this money. Their salary's killing me. But at the end of the day, they're making you more money. And if they aren't, then they are a liability. But it's your job as the leader to put good leaders in place to make them an asset.
Hey guys, I got to jump on an airplane here very quickly. So love you guys.
We're about to see Nathan Thibodeau here. Brother. Get on a plane, dude. I'll see you at the airport in a little while.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'll hopefully seeing anybody.
Yep.
No, so and that's the thing, like this whole idea of investing in yourself, investing in your business, investing in what you're doing, I think is the key to this. And we've never lived in an age where so much stuff is just available. Like nothing, there hasn't been this much information just at your fingertips that you can just grasp on. It's almost overwhelming sometimes. I mean, you can go to every event, go to every conference, and you'll get information out of all of them. But man, it's just like knowledge is everywhere. I'm curious to see what's going to happen coming out of COVID. Someone said yesterday, I was on Clubhouse, and they said, after the plague back in the day came the Renaissance. And I was like, that's an interesting thought, though, when you think about it. Like, what's going to happen after COVID? Is this the beginning of what is potentially the Renaissance age? And it's a very different time. Like, we don't know what's going to come next, but there's definitely been a massive change in the way people think, the way people are sharing and changing stuff. But Aaron, let me ask you real quick before we move on too much from this subject. How much has this helped your company grow, all these things that you've been a part of?
It's pretty much all of it. I mean, here I came in with very limited knowledge, so I had to reach out and talk to people. I wasn't like a lot of these people that worked for, roofing companies for X number of years and then decided to go on their own. I had very limited knowledge. I worked for one for about 6 months. And then just it kind of rolled into how I ended up starting mine is a crazy story, but it was necessary. And what I found is everybody's got something that you can learn from. And here's the thing. What I've realized is there's no set right way. Like everybody does it a little bit different. Some people are W-2, some people are 1099, some people do retail, some people do insurance, some people work with insurance agents, some people work with realtors. And it's like, there's all these different things, and you have to go through and find out what works for you and your people and your company. And so that's what I'm spending. I go to these things when they're available and when I can. I try to make it to at least a couple a year, but I've pretty much dedicated my entire January to learning. So I'm going out to visit Heath Hicks next week doing the American, the Contractor Summit with you. Visiting Dustin Beegler at the end of the month. I talked to Hunter about possibly visiting him early next month. So all of these things are extremely important because without them, there's so many people that have done this for way longer than me, like on a 10 multiplier and more. So why would I ram my head into the wall when I can just, see what has worked for other people and then incorporate that into my business?
Dude, and Randy, you and I have been in this for a long time. Could you have ever thought in 2001, 2002, 2003 that contractors would someday like get along and allow other contractors into their business and to learn?
No way, man. It was I'll learn at my own pace and I'll keep it all under the belt and under my chest, and I'm not going to share what I know about anybody. And people grew at like a snail's pace. Like I have contractor friends, same thing, man. I love hearing these stories because it's almost like reminding me like I'm going to double down too and like really go. Like for instance, I went to RoofCon as a speaker, right? And how many speakers showed up, did their speech, and didn't do anything else? I was like, screw that. Like I'm going to sit in here and listen to as many of these other people as I possibly can, right? Even at that level, like you always have to be learning and gaining knowledge. And the same thing, what you're doing, Aaron, man, like early in my career, I did the same thing. I went to as many like trainings and conferences and books and everything I could do to just learn as much as I possibly can. I still have that mentality to this day. And I'm blessed with the opportunity where people started reaching out. Hey, same thing you're doing is like people would, hey, let's talk, let's go to lunch. Let's talk about business. And that's where the opportunity came where, well, I might as well turn this into something and start coaching people. And that's kind of how that developed. But it all starts with the thirst for knowledge and a thirst for surrounding yourself with people. If you want to be successful, surround yourself with people who have done what you want to do or have accomplished what you want to accomplish or who know what you want to know. And that mindset back in the day, I'm a generational guy. Like my grandfather, no way, man. No way.
No way, dude. And you think about it, right?
They would teach their son or their grandkid, but they're not going to go teach their neighbor because that's their competition.
Oh man, those are the secrets. That's the secret sauce, right? That's what they all knew. Like they had these little like things that were really not revolutionary, but for whatever reason, there was the family secrets. I mean, I have them in my family. Things that little tricks and tips that are generational, like you said, and that's funny to think about. But you also think about it too. Like let's look at this industry as a whole right now. We have tens of thousands of contractors out there. Hunter, you had 1,000 or 800 show up at RoofCon. We've got our biggest event. Maybe you'll get 3,000 contractors there. It's such a small percentage of the contractors that are out there doing this stuff and learning and taking advantage of all the options that are out there to grow their business and actually want to scale, that it's actually pretty easy for a contractor to go and scale their business and do it the right way because the knowledge is out there. You can do it. You can learn how to do it. You can become that if you really, really wanted to. But I mean, you gotta change your mindset. Nathan said it first. It's a mindset. The first thing that you got to do.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited about.
And then you got to scaling in this business, this industry, with the access to knowledge and with the market opportunities and hailstorms all over the country, and they're getting worse and worse. Like scaling is you can do that. A lot of people can do that with a lot of hustle, some leadership skills, and the drive and passion to be able to empower others to help them be successful and to build a team around you. You can do that. That's what it takes. Now, maintaining that is that's where you get to a different level. Maintaining that level, maintaining that growth, maintaining that size of a business, that's where you got to invest heavily in yourself, your leadership, your that's where you really want coaches and you really want people, even outside of our industry, like Hunter said, I spend well over $100,000 on coaching it every year, and to learn and grow and to continue to grow myself as a professional, leader and entrepreneur. And the maintaining aspect, that's where I think a lot of people, will find the biggest challenge is longevity when you're in a market where you can see a lot of success easily, like not easily, but with pure hustle, drive, good person, good leadership, you can drive and grow a business. but let's focus on how do we build a sustainable model that can withstand the ebbs and flows of what the market and what life will bring as a business owner.
Yeah, I think that goes along with people that have been in the industry. Like for me, it's necessary to go out and learn and constantly evolve, because I have a lot of catching up to do to people that have been in this industry for a long time. But I've met people that have been in the industry for a long time that want to learn and grow, and I've met people that are kind of set in their ways. But I think even if you've been in the industry a long time, you have to be willing to do all of that, because things are constantly changing. Like insurance companies, we do a lot of insurance. They're constantly changing the things that you have to do to win these claims. There's new technology coming out. There's new things to set you apart. Obviously, with the internet and social media, things are changing. You have to learn how to, bend these to your will. So I think everybody, regardless of time, needs to constantly be willing to learn and evolve.
Yeah. And I think Aaron, though, for you, though, you said you're trying to catch up to everyone else. I don't think that you're trying to catch up as much as, there's such a blessing in the fact that you are not set in your ways, and that you are doing things the way that things should be done right now. Like you're starting fresh. Like it's like a blank canvas, and I'm watching it like just explode, because there's just, you don't have any baggage. You're not carrying around all these bad habits and the way that things used to be, and trying to make them back into the way things used to be. Because newsflash for everyone that's watching this, if you're hoping that 2021 is going to be like 2019, or that things are just going to go back to the way that we used to do business, and that everything, we can go back and consumers are just going to behave the way they did before, that's not the reality. It's not going to happen. 2021 is going to be completely different. This is the start of something so different in the future of what is happening. Things that we thought were 5, 10, 15 years out are at your doorstep today. And there's no way that you can go backwards. I mean, we didn't think that people were going to adapt to doing Zoom calls, or to all these new technologies as quickly as they've been forced to because of 2020. And people were locked in their houses for weeks, guys. Don't forget that. Like the consumer themselves have completely changed the way that they're going to even behave moving forward. It's not at all the same. There's no way that you can ever expect it to be the same. And that's got to be the reality newsflash for the industry for 2021. This is the beginning of a whole new era, a whole new generation, a whole new opportunity. And that's cool. I think that's super.
You got to adapt or die,
Adapt. Yeah. So, guys, this is cool. Thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate Randy, Hunter, Aaron, and folks, if you're watching this, Nathan was just here a minute ago. He's actually flying in because we got meetings the rest of the week for the American Contractor Summit. Next week, Thursday and Friday, get your teams together. Get on the American Contractor Summit, because there will be some high value, high level conversations happening, keynote addresses to the industry by some of the leaders that are watching what is happening in this industry, including Randy and Hunter. And Aaron, you're going to be on the 8-figure contractor panel. And I think that what's really going to be cool about that is we're going to have, some of the old school guys on there. Paul Reed's going to be on that panel. Randy, you're going to be on that panel. And then we're going to have like Hunter and Aaron. And so we're going to mix it up and get, both sides of this, and what, you guys are experiencing so much change, and those guys are, and you guys are just like embracing this new way of doing business. So that's going to be awesome. The Women Changing the Industry panel, I'm really excited about that. I actually have a call about that here in a minute after this show. And we got some really cool stuff to announce for that too here in the next couple of days. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And I don't try to we did this for $99, and I hated to even do that, but I know that we had to make sure that we had, we can cover our expenses. We've dropped a ton of money on this event because we want to make it high value and this isn't a webinar. This is going to be these guys on a stage here in Indianapolis, giving you guys knowledge and content, and there's tons of technology behind all the stuff that we're doing. And so I'm excited about it. We did it. It's only $99. Like, get your team together, just buy one membership and watch it. Like, buy one ticket to it and put it on the big screen in your office and sit down with your people and rewatch it, because you'll have access to it afterwards as well. This is going to be a cool event. So I'm excited about it. Thank you guys for coming. If If you haven't signed up yet, American Contractor Summit, it's a Facebook event. But you guys for being here today, because I think that there's a ton of value just in this conversation alone that can help contractors really, really make 2021 the best year ever.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to learning from. I guess now I'm the old school guy. Thanks, I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to learning
time over there.
These young bucks trying to take over the world, man. It's always like I always get a ton of energy. I'm just now getting to know you, Aaron. I can't wait to hang out with you and spend some time. Me and Hunter have connected, and man, I just get like I go back 10 years and get a bolt of energy every time I connect with these guys. So I'm looking forward to it. And if I get that, like you watching and you attending this, man, like the whole industry is going to be set on fire once this is done, man. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, man, I can tell you that I almost feel like this frustration inside of me when I think about somebody watching this and decide not to buy a ticket because it's $99. Because we just sat here and I'm serious, man. We just sat here and we talked about how the three of us have all scaled to 8 figures relatively quick. I mean, Aaron's been doing it 2 years. I've been doing it 3 years. Randy's been pounding 8 figures for a minute. So he's got that sustainable model. And all three of us are going to be speaking. And we're just a few of the names there, right? You got the Paul Reeds. You got a ton of people. So to invest $99 into yourself, into your company, into your future to help you hit the goals that you have for your family, for your community, that's what it's really about. It's not about the dollars. Sure, we say 8-figure contract and we say those things. But at the end of the day, it all relates to what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish, the people you're trying to serve. So, man, for me, it just frustrates me to think that someone wouldn't be willing to invest that. So I encourage you guys to do that. I mean, I'll say this. I know that John and his team have been busting butt to make this thing happen and bring a ton of value. If you don't get the value from it, you can come to RoofCon for free. But I know that you'll get the value from it.
Nice. Yeah, and I agree with everything you guys have said, man. It's like if it wasn't for events like these, I wouldn't be near where I'm at. Every single time I go to, like I've been to RoofCon, I've been both years. I've worked with John a lot. He's been a humongous help to me. But every time I go to an event to better myself and my company, I come out with something that helps me improve just one step. If you get one thing, which I think there's so many different things that you can take from these events, but even if you got only one thing, it's worth it every time. I always correlate everything to roofs. Drives my wife crazy, but I'm like, if you get one extra roof out of the event, you're 20x in your money, So always invest in yourself. I agree with that 100%.
I agree, guys. And thank you so much for hanging out today and taking some time out of your busy schedules and helping elevate the industry. That's what this show is all about, and that's what we're trying to do here. So thank you guys so much. I'm excited about 2021, and this is going to be a lot of fun, but you guys are the best. Thank you.
Appreciate it, man.
These guys, get your tickets. Yep. This thing would be $1,000 if you would have had to fly in and do.
Yeah.
Several more.
Value
it's easy.
So for a little bit of your time and effort and cappuccino money, you could literally have a multi-million-dollar impact on your life this year.
Did you already drop the link?
I haven't dropped it. I'll drop it here in the comments here in a second. Cool. I know, or if you want to drop it, you can, dude. I know that
I'm spelling, so I just want to make sure it's easy.
I know that we've got more on mistakes
smarter than you. I can't spell either. I can barely read.
No, guys. So I appreciate it so much. Thank you guys for hanging out today.
Yeah, man.
Thanks.
See y'all soon.
God bless, guys.
God bless you guys. Guys, that was a phenomenal conversation there with Aaron Christy, Hunter Ballew, Randy Brothers, and Nathan Thibodeau that had to dip out real quick because he's catching a flight to come over here. Thursday, you guys are going to get something really cool from us. I'm not going to give away the secret, but I'm going to tell you right now that it's going to be a really, really cool episode, and you do not want to miss it because it's going to be cool. I'm just excited about it. But thank you guys for watching. I'm excited about 2021. I'll see you at the summit, and we will be back live for the American Contractor Show on Thursday. Thank you for watching. I'm John Dye, and we'll see you then. Thanks so much for watching today's show. Make sure to like and subscribe our pages so that you can stay up to date with every episode. And by the way, this show is all about you, the American Contractor. Be sure to comment and let us know what you want to hear about and what subjects you want us to touch on. We'll be sure to include them in a future episode. Thanks again, and I hope you have a great day.